So, Michael Carrick to be given more power over transfers than Ruben Amorim. Is that a good or bad thing? Because I actually think our best bit of transfer business was done under Ruben Amorim, where it was mostly the recruitment. That said, when I want the recruitment to do things, it's more Vival than Wilcox. Michael Carrick deal to be announced tomorrow. Manchester United believe they can convince Elliot Anderson. Have they just convinced Elliot Anderson with the appointment of Michael Carrick? What do Man United think they have that might convince Elliot Anderson, and why we have not given up on him? On soon on Tchouameni, and the latest on Carlos Baleba will be discussed in today's 10-minute Manchester United news and transfer news roundup show. So hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to your 10-minute roundup video. If you're new to the channel, every single evening throughout the transfer window and every single evening throughout the year, I do a 10-minute video rounding up all the Manchester United news that you need to know into 10 minutes, talking about how reliable it is and more. Let's dive into it by starting with the Michael Carrick stories. Michael Carrick will be announced officially very soon. It's a matter of hours. I expect him to mention it when he addresses the fans tomorrow. I think Michael Carrick will be announced tomorrow. He's not been announced so far today by the club, and it is currently 10:30 at the time of recording this. I normally like to get my videos up at 10:30. I am recording this a bit later today. But I think the fact that it's not been announced right now, I can't see Manchester United going, you know what, let's announce him at 1 a.m. I think he's going to be announced tomorrow morning before the game, before the final home game of the season, so he can give some kind of talk to the fans, but we all know that it is done. And yeah, Michael Carrick, we've spoken about it. Let's get into the next story. United is set to hand Michael Carrick a larger say in the transfer process than Ruben Amorim. Sources say Carrick asked for more assurances regarding signings, which the club welcomed. Mixed thoughts about this. Now, Michael Carrick got done dirty at Middlesbrough. I think Michael Carrick's failure at Middlesbrough wasn't because of him, it was because of how they operated in the transfer window. I think he got done really dirty. So I think for him to take this job, he wants to say. Now, it'd be interesting to see what happens with this, because I think it's always good to give a manager a bit of a say, but you want the specialist doing their job. Now, one thing that worries me is he likes Morgan Rogers because he worked with Morgan Rogers. And don't get me wrong, Morgan Rogers is a good player. He's fallen off a bit the second half of the season. But Morgan Rogers is sort of a 10 that likes to go to the left. That's what Mount does. That's what Cunha does. You know, I think if we want a left winger, we want a Yan Diamonde left winger rather than a Morgan Rogers winger. And we're hearing that Carrick wants Morgan Rogers and Wilcox wants Morgan Rogers, but Vival prefers Yan Diamonde. And I look at it and I think Yan Diamonde, I think Rogers is a better player, but Yan Diamonde might be the kind of player I want more. My mindset is mixed on this, because I actually think our best recruitment was under Amorim, and that's because Amorim didn't get much of a say. I know Amorim wanted Gyökeres, I know Amorim wanted Emi Martinez, we didn't get. We got Sesko and Lemons instead, who I'm very happy with, and that was down to Vival. I think a mixture of input is good, but I think for me, Vival's the person I trust the most for transfers. Wilcox wants Edison and obviously Morgan Rogers. Carrick apparently likes Morgan Rogers and Hackney, but could that just be lazy media journalism because he's played with them? Maybe he doesn't. Look, Carrick, if he wants, Tchouameni, go for it. If he wants Tonali, go for it. Elliot Anderson, go for it. Matheus Fernandes, go for it. But yeah, I think you just need to make sure that the people in recruitment agree upon with what Carrick wants, and we get the right kind of players. So I'm open to giving Carrick a little bit of power, but not as much power as we gave Erik ten Hag, because we had an opportunity to sign Elise for 35 million, but Erik ten Hag said no and insisted on Anthony for 85 million. I don't want us doing that. I want a Carrick to have a little bit of a say, like a veto maybe, but not like you have to get this player and no one else, like ten Hag did, because ten Hag's recruitment set us back years. So I want to get into the Elliot Anderson news. Now, this is a report that came out a few days ago. This isn't the story I want to talk about, but this is just context to the story that I want to talk about that's come out today on Elliot Anderson. So it was said 2 days ago that apparently United are preparing a formal approach for Elliot Anderson. Reports suggest United will only pursue a deal if they believe the player was open to the move. Do United know something we don't? Could Elliot Anderson be open to the Man United move? Maybe. My thought process is this. I'm going to be open with you guys. I think he wants to go to Man City, but he's not going to close off Man United until he knows he's definitely got the move to Man City. I think he's going to do what Semenyo did. I think he's also using us to help him get a better deal at Manchester City, help him get higher wages. That's my honest opinion on it. Now, Forest, are open to selling him. Now they know they're safe. Now they know they're not in Europe, but they want 100 million plus. Will we afford that? I think he's probably an 80, 90 million player, but you might have to pay 100 million to beat out City to him. Now, why do Man United think they can convince Elliot Anderson? Man United think that the appointment of Michael Carrick will be enough potentially to convince them to get Elliot Anderson. And this is because Pep Guardiola's future is uncertain and we've got Michael Carrick. And United's reasoning for why they think they could just convince Anderson is this. Manchester United have a compelling midfield pitch to Elliot Anderson. Join us, play with a fellow Wolves End midfielder and help us win the league. For once, there is more doubt over City's manager than United's. If you don't know what this means, it's because Michael Carrick is a Geordie. He grew up in Newcastle, Newcastle fan and everything. Obviously, Elliot Anderson, also a Geordie, grew up in Newcastle fan, midfielder. Elliot Anderson, Michael Carrick, Geordie midfielders, Newcastle fans work together. Man United think that bringing Carrick in might convince him. I like Michael Carrick. I really do like Michael Carrick, but Pep Guardiola or Michael Carrick, come on. I'm a Man United fan and I love Michael Carrick, but if you've got to choose between Pep Guardiola and Michael Carrick, you're going to choose Pep. Now, United feel he might choose us because Pep isn't at City. Now, if Pep announces tomorrow he's leaving Manchester City, then that changes a lot. But as of now, I think City have just won an FA Cup. City have had more success than us. City's a safer option. They can offer as much, if not more money than us. I think unless Pep leaves City, he goes to City. I think the only way is if Pep leaves City, but I think Pep will stay at City. We've got Champions League. We've got Michael Carrick. I don't think that's going to be enough to convince Elliot Anderson. I can't. I don't. I know we're still going for it. I know we're saying there's hope, but I think Elliot Anderson is just keeping us there to get better wages out of Man City. Now, what was interesting is Ben Jacobs spoke about this the other day and said on Anderson, Man United and City are now in a position where they can go to Forest. Keep an eye. Bids could be going in. There'll be club-to-club talks now because Forest season's over. They're safe. They're not in Europe. Marinakis has opened the door to negotiations. I think City are probably just focusing on their end-of-season title running, but work will be done behind the scenes. The door is now open for Anderson. Nothing is moving. I think things will move next week. The season ends in 8 days. I think things will move in 8 days. I think things will move 2-3 days after the season ends, to be honest. Anyway, let's continue into some non-Elliot Anderson stories because I'll be honest, I don't think we're going to get Elliot Anderson. I think a lot of the links to Elliot Anderson is just more Man United hope and delusion. I don't think he would choose Carrick over Pep. Look, I hope I'm wrong. I hope we do get Elliot Anderson, but I also think Forest will use us to drive the price up and get more money out of Man City because Mr. Marinakis is greedy. One player we might be able to get is Tchouameni. I covered this in my live show earlier today, but David Ornstein said that Tchouameni is one to keep an eye on for Man United. Now, that doesn't mean a lot. That doesn't mean that Tchouameni wants to come. That doesn't mean that we will get Tchouameni. But what that means is these links to Tchouameni, yeah, there's something in them. We like Tchouameni. We're looking at Tchouameni. What we know on Tchouameni is we want him. We like him. Does he want out of Madrid? We don't know. Could he want out of Madrid now? It's all toxic and the fallout of Valverde. What's Mourinho going to do with him? Tchouameni is one of those where it's one to keep an eye on. It depends what happens with Madrid. If something happens with Madrid, I think we can get him. Now, Madrid want to sell Camavinga, not Tchouameni, but if Madrid sign Rodri, they may want to sell Tchouameni. And Tchouameni has flirted with Manchester United. He's followed Man United players on Instagram. Maybe I'm deluded, but I think he would pick us. I think if he left Real Madrid, he'd go to us over a PSG. Maybe I'm deluded. I did say that about Tmoz Fernandes. But if I was going to be honest, if there's one player I think Manchester United are going to sign this summer, I think it is going to be Baleba. I'm going to go back to something Ben Jacobs said a month ago. On April 9th, Ben Jacobs went on the United Stand YouTube channel, and he said, if we learn definitively that Man United cannot get Elliot Anderson, and they don't want to bid big for Sandro Tonali, which reportedly we don't want to do, then Baleba could suddenly appear in early May as a more marketable opportunity. I'm going to be honest, still to this day, I think it's going to be Baleba and Tmoz Fernandes. Still to this day, I think it's going to be Baleba and Tmoz Fernandes. I like those two. Perfect. We'll need a third. Now, I'd like that third to be Anderson or Tchouameni or Tonali. But as of now, I think it could be Edison, Baleba and Tmoz Fernandes, which I'm not against, but I'm not the biggest fan of Edison. Anyway, people, let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know your thoughts on the news and stories down below. I hope you're all having a good day. See you next time. Bye.